Moin! Let's talk about the steps needed to get from an initial game idea to purchasable product on Steam. At the beginning, you will need to have a good idea for a game. If you are new to game development, I would recommend something really simple. Expect that everything you want to do and know from other games will require about 5 times the effort you think it should. And I would recommend developing a few smaller games quickly to get an experience before committing to a project with more than 6 months worth of development time. I will not talk about the development process directly. This entire channel is dedicated to game design and many other channels are talking about how to develop a game. This video is about the high level structure, assuming the actual development goes well. You should quickly create numerous small playable games that match your initial idea. Try to create each of them within a day or two. Test these prototypes with friends and partners and try to estimate if folks enjoy them. Continue this process until you find something many testers enjoy. Now we categorize the prototypes folks enjoyed using common game genres and use resources like SteamDB or VG Insight to look at similar titles. We do so to get a first impression of how large our expected target audience might be and how many projects similar to ours succeed or fail. But don't let this stop you from creating something you like and have a reasonable suspicion that this might be a great project. Once we have settled on a specific idea, we want to create a few specific prototypes to test how our more complicated features should work. If we can expect any technical difficulties, what our art style would look like in engine, and anything else we want to figure out ahead of time. For all of these prototypes that require an opinion like, is this mechanic enjoyable? Make sure to test with folks who are not actively working on the project. With all the initial questions answered, we can start to actively develop our game. This phase is usually coined pre-production and has its focus on precisely defining every aspect of the game. With how Steam functions today, I would recommend aiming for a vertical slice demo at the end of this phase, a short playable section of the game that represents the currently aimed for level of quality of the end product. This will confirm if your project will work, forces you to define all relevant features and build the fundamental systems for them, and allows you to set up your first Steam page. This stage of development, including the previous topics, should usually define the first 30% of your development time. After you have everything ready for your first Steam page, which should be the case once you have a functional demo piece, you will have to register a company. If you already have one, you're good. Now we can set up our first Steam page for the project. Just register on Steamworks and follow the instructions. This will require a small fee, but you can get that back once your game has sold a few copies. To create this page, you should have screenshots, a trailer, the demo, and art for all the Steam capsule images. This page should be created at least 1 year before you plan to release the project. Or if you have a shorter development time, try to do it when about 60% of that time is over. Once the first demo version of our game is publicly available, we should engage in constant user testing while developing the project. This phase is usually coined full production. The idea is that everything is ready to create more and more content, and the development of less relevant features. In addition, we want to use the feedback we get from players playing our demo to push the game in a direction our audience enjoys. Full production usually lasts for about 40% of the project's development time. Don't hesitate to update your demo whenever possible and call for testing events with potential players to get better feedback. We will talk more about testing at some point in the usual design videos. The full production is usually gated by time, so once you've run out of time, you will have to enter post-production. In this phase, we are no longer creating more content or features, and instead focus on fixing bugs, polishing the entire experience, and putting more focus on player feedback. Post-production is usually about 20% of the project's development time, but your project will become better the more time you can spend in post-production. After the post-production, you should have a completed project and can push it to Steam. The last 10% of development time is planned to fiddle with the submission to Steamworks and address really relevant issues that pop up post-release. Plan a patch about 3 months after release to fix relevant issues the player base has discovered. Yes, this means you have to plan additional time to work on the project after it has been released. Monitor and write down what has worked well and what has not. Try to find solutions for the issues that have occurred before starting with the next project. One last tip. The timings mentioned here almost never really work out as planned. I would recommend planning with about 30% less time for the project than what you actually have. This will usually result in finishing right on time. Also, if you work alone or in a smaller team, don't force yourself to stick to these time estimates. Your group should be flexible, so as long as this roughly matches, you should be good. Tell me about your development experiences and what you would like to do differently. Subscribe to the channel for more game development information, and we will see each other in the next video. Cheers!